Oh, yeah, that's actually what it says. Run for refuge parish. You have an American flag pin? There we go.
Go ahead. That's the best.
Awesome. You big job. It's these big little man. That's it.
Welcome, everybody. I'll call our special meeting to order. I would like for everyone to stand. Mr. Herbert, would you please lead us in the Lord's Prayer?
Our Father, Lord in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, and we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Do we have any veterans who would be willing to lead us in the pledge? Mr. Scott, you would come in our regular Miss Annie. We do this every meeting in honor of our Miss Annie Abrams. It was ever since I became mayor. She wanted a job with the town, and this was her job, to lead us every council meeting in the pledge. And she had a beautiful jacket with a flag that said, "Proud to be an American." What's her name?
That said, I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alderman Carol Ward, A. Alderwoman Susan Lee Church, CD. Alderman Mark Mercer, CC. Alderwoman Kimberly Christie, CP.
Here.
Alderwoman Charlotte Williams Smith, CP. Here. You have a quorum. Again, welcome to everyone to our special meeting tonight. We love having our room filled. Today, we do have a very special, and I feel very honored to have one of our residents, a lady that is very well renowned, who works for the rural water, Louisiana rural water. Her name is Susan Robbins. Most of you probably know Susan Ball. She's married to Terry Baker. So I guess officially her name is Susan Robbins Baker. So Mr. Terry Baker says no. But we'll see. So Miss Susan, I have asked you to come here tonight to share some information and answer some questions
wise enough, I'm used to giving presentations to hundreds of operators. I don't know exactly what y'all want, but I can tell you what Rural Water does. So Louisiana Rural Water is a nonprofit organization. We cater directly to water and wastewater systems across the state with technical assistance. We also have certified operators working for our organization that goes out and gives hands-on training to the operators in the field for wastewater services and water services. We also do rate studies for utility systems, water and wastewater. The water sector grant is all this federal dollars coming in here. And our mayor, I watched her go before the water sector commission in Baton Rouge and fight for the $4.5 million that she got to fix our sewer system. And I say that because I am a citizen here and I know the shape of our sewer system. There are strings attached to grant money. Just like any loan, you'll have strings attached. They're going to ask you for your credit rating, stuff like that if you go make a private loan. Well, with the water sector grant, or any grant with the state of Louisiana, including the community block grants, the state started putting strings on them because they were tired of spending taxpayers' money and then going back 5 years later on stuff that was not maintained. So that's where the strings came in. So the strings to the water sector grant is for $4.5 million. They have to do a rate study to make sure that their rates are effective enough to cover the expenses and put a little money aside for the rainy days to fix things that break. Other than that, that's it. Now they have to do a contingency fund for that rainy day fund. The most critical asset, and me and Ms. Gill talked about that, and I think the most critical asset is the main lift station that takes everything and sends it to the treatment plant. Because if that thing fails, then everything's backing up in your house. So, as far as Rural Water doing the rate study, we have contracted with the state to do some of the water sector rate studies. But there's also 6 other contractors. So there's no guarantee that Rural Water will be doing the town of Olives. The other contractors, a couple from Texas, one from Louisiana, one from New York City. I don't know where the other one's from. I just found out about it today when I talked to Tracy Watts, because I wanted to get the status of where y'all stood in the pecking order, because they had round 1 funding, and then they had round 1 additional, then they had round 2 funding, and round 2 additional funding. Ball is in round 2 funding. The Office of Community Development that dishes out this money, they started with round 1 funding. Those are the grants that were handed out first. There are 6 more rate studies to be done for round 1 funding before round 2 will ever be handed out to a contractor to do those rate studies. So we're still looking at, a good 6 months, 6 to 8 months down the road before the rate study is done. So in the meantime, what I suggest, and because this is my business, this is what I do, Ball did the right thing 4 or 5 years ago, there before COVID, when we passed the increase back then. And we put in that there would be an automatic increase every February. And that is the norm across the state, especially with small municipalities, to keep up with inflation. Inflation right now, the 10-year historical rate of inflation is like 2.75%. So anything above that would suffice to cover the expenses of inflation for the system. Now, we always kind of put a cap on that because we might get into the situation in 2022 when inflation was over 8%. And we don't think that's a good number, but a good 4 or 5% increase every year for your utility is normal and will keep up with inflation to cover those I understand that the council has opted because of COVID to suspend those annual increases every year, and it's come back up so that y'all can do it. If you don't do it, you're gonna get further behind the line. So, how long's it been since y'all did the increase? 2 years. So y'all are already 5 to 6% behind where you need to be. This is at 3 since COVID.
It was 2020 when we did it, and we ended on it.
So 21, 22, 23, so 3 years, so, almost 10% that y'all are behind right now, as far as keeping up with the inflation. Start now, do those annual increases and don't stop. The public is more receptive that we found to small incremental increases than a $10 jump every 5 years. So, it helps those people with, fixed incomes. There's other ways that we talked about that rate studies could be done, different rate tiers based on the gallons used, other than a flat rate. That way, the people who are actually using the water and sending it to the sewer system actually get charged that way. So other than that, I will answer any questions y'all have.
Ms. Susan, what's your suggestion at this point that give us approximation of what we should basically, what should be the percentage for this year, since we didn't do it?
Since you didn't do it, I'd do a 5 or 6% for this year, and then next year start with the CPI with the max of 4%.
Okay, so 5 or 6% this year?
Yes.
And I do want the people to understand the reason why the council forgave it is because we were thinking about you. And I had a talk with the gentleman today that sometimes hindsight is better when you look back and you think you were doing the public a better service by forgiving it, and now wish that maybe we should have done it. But we knew everybody was hurting when COVID hit. And then the next year, everybody, some people had not gone back to work. So we were trying to do what we thought was best for all of you. And now we have to do something. So that's where we are now. And I wanted to get your expert opinion as to what you think when we sit down and discuss what you thought where we should be at.
So I don't want to mislead anybody, even though they're looking at an automatic increase, that will continue. But when that rate study comes about, if they find that y'all are still deficient, they're gonna mandate that you increase or pay the money back. That's the way it is. That's the strings attached. So depends on what that rate study, how it comes back. And all the requirements that the Office of Community Development requires.
So what, if I understand you right, and thank you for coming here, I wish we could have got her here before. If I understand you right, because I want to make sure, and I don't think anybody's doing this purposely, it's just human. I know that when you get together, you say something, and then you wish you had said something different, or none of us are up here, anybody purposely saying one thing or the other. But I listen to things and they kind of click in my head, like the engineer says the other day, I believe he said 30 to 60 days or something, and now I hear from you that it could be 6 to 8 months. To me, it's a big difference. And then I just want to make sure everyone's aware of this. I hear that tonight, while we may go up $5, $10, whatever it is, it's a fact sitting out there that someone else could come in here and say, well, that's nice, but we're actually going to add about 15 more to it.
I don't think that
In
happens.
theory, follow it to it. In theory, I'm just repeating what you just said. It's very possible that this board or group that you say we don't even know who, it could be a variety of them, they could come in here and demand we go up even further. So what I'm trying to do is make sure everyone out here is aware that whatever we say tonight ain't necessarily the end of it. It could actually go higher.
Well, you say demand. It's still the council and the town's choice.
Or pay the money back.
Exactly. So, I mean, that's the strings attached to the grant. So,
I just wanted to make
It
sure.
does,
people
you know,
hear. Yeah, I got you.
let me explain, if you give the money back, that wastewater system still needs to be fixed. And if you go and borrow $4.5 million from USDA or CoBank, the big ones that handle those kind of loans, then you're looking at paying a couple $100,000 a year for that note. You know, and they have letters of conditions also. You're gonna have to put in some short-lived assets or rainy day funds for those also. Plus, you're gonna have to put a year of payments in the bank in case something happens and you can't make that note. So it's a lot more expensive to go and make that loan than to jump through the hoops for this $4.5 million grant.
I appreciate you explaining.
Yeah.
Our attorney made a very good point, such as banks would have for anything. They have great requirements as well. When-
Well, I speak from experience because I represent the county of Glenmore.
Yeah.
We borrowed,
Just got a request for them to do their rate studies.
right, we borrowed a couple $1 million from the USDA, and they came in and said your rates are too low.
Yeah.
Because there's always that string attached. And every federal grant we get, we have to. We're not like the federal government. The state of Louisiana mandates that we balance our budget every year. We can't give away services. So we have to charge usually a customary rate. But these folks have been doing it for 2 years, much to our kind of chagrin, has been, we're not gonna let the people suffer. We're gonna eat it for a couple of years because of COVID and the economy and everything. And because they've been so kind to the citizens involved, we're kind of a little bit behind the 8 ball, but not bad.
Not
Um,
bad.
And one of the things tonight, I was talking to the mayor, one of the misconceptions is this motion, Stephen, correct me if I'm wrong, is actually, again, these 5 folks, the mayor, trying to help the citizens involved because we have an automatic increase based upon a different, not the CPI, but some water thing that's much higher than the CPI. What they decided to do was tie it to the CPI. So this is actually a decrease of rates. This is not, I don't know where it got spun to where this is an increase. They're trying to decrease the automatic hike. Is that right, Steve?
No, that's right. I mean, and not to interrupt, we can speak on it in further detail, but right now, if the council doesn't do anything, it's tied to what's called the NACWA index. That's the North America Clean Water Association index. The last 20 years, 18 of them, the NACWA's been higher than CPI. Okay.
We're trying to.
And that was done intentionally at first because the goal was to, that our utility stuff becomes more expensive than CPI. When we've had some years where the CPI index was flat, our cost to run the system increased dramatically. So that was an effort to try to stay ahead of that. But what the council is attempting to do here, if this is y'all's will, is to go with the CPI index. 90% of the time it will be lower, okay? And it's more simpler for everybody to understand and we can all get behind it, okay? So this, right now it's in the legislation. It's going to go up no matter, it's going to go up by the NACWA index unless y'all take action, okay?
It's going to go up higher.
And it's going to go up, it hasn't released yet, but statistically it's going to go up higher. 90% of the time it will be higher. So what y'all are trying to do is get in front of it and make it better for the citizens and something that everybody can get behind. And, Social Security payments are also going up by the CPI, so will be the same share of our senior citizens' expenses, will be the same share of our people who work for the state as they get cost of living increases. And so unless y'all take action tonight, y'all going, citizens going to be in the worst spot.
Well, this is actually a decrease. What they're doing tonight is a decrease.
The rate study, for anyone that doesn't understand, is based on what it costs to operate this system. And not just what it costs day to day to operate it, but they also look at, okay, we've got a pump here that's 15 years old. The average lifespan on that is 20 years. You're gonna need money aside to buy a new pump. Whatever it takes to treat the water at the sewer plant. And Anybody that can tell me something that's gone down in the last 3 years, I'd like to know what it is. Okay, nothing has gone down, everything has gone up. So to think that costs can stay the same and you can get the same service is just, it's ludicrous to even think that. So we're gonna have to pay a little more, it's just, if it's gradual, it's a little easier to take. And obviously, y'all are helping everybody out, but we're gonna take maybe a little lick, and then if I spend it, then it will be gradual. Is that simple?
Until the rate study comes in and they see where
And when the rate study comes in, all that good, if they say, wait a minute, they didn't allow for this, they didn't allow for that.
How many years, so let me just ask one more question, because I know this person represents, because there's been a lot of discussion about this, that no one seems to answer in the last meeting. There seems to be a lot of confusion, and I hope you can clear it up. How many years are we talking that this group, or maybe the grant, however I should be wording that, how many years are they gonna be involved in yearly, let me just say, auditing over us to decide if our rate should be higher than what it actually is? Do you know how many years they're gonna be doing that?
So, 20. That's the only name when, so what is the 20 years, which is most critical asset, they ask you to put aside a monthly payment once a year until you reach the amount in 20 years to replace that infrastructure. But that's the only thing. Yeah,
Or is the state gonna still be involved? The state's always been involved.
yeah.
But I will say this, and we remember this as council members, in 2020 when they came in because for at least 20 years previous, no rate increase had been imposed on the town.
Yeah.
And so while our sewer system's getting older, everybody's happy because you're only paying that little bit. The state comes in and says, guys, what are y'all doing? We were on the verge of the state taking over the town of Ball. That's what fell in our lap. So the state came in and did a rate study in 2020. And they said, they know what they're doing. They look at your sewer system, the age of it, what's going wrong, what's going to go wrong, what it's going to take to fix it. And they told us at that time, their recommendation was to go up to $98. Well, we're all like, no way. We cannot do that to our citizens. No way are we going to do that. So we talked, they looked at, I don't know how we worked all this out, but we said we can do $71.50. What if we raise our rates to $71.50? And they said, that's a start, back then. But you've got to do your CPI every year so that you can kind of keep up with inflation and with the deterioration of our system. So that's what we did. And then, however, like Kim said, we thought we were helping people out during COVID and then the year after and the year after. Now it's caught up with us again. So now we're having another rate study. And
We're talking about being on the fiscal distress risk. Most of us were on the council, the mayor. It wasn't until Susan Robbins pointed out to us that this town was on that list, that we found out. We, as a council, had no idea. We sat on this council, we had no idea that that's when we were, till she brought it to our attention. And you have the state's coming, they're coming. They're gonna tell you what to do.
Yeah, if I remember right, y'all are already on there on 2 years and the third year
And
they come
I
in.
never knew.
yeah.
For 2 years, we were on that list.
Well, and I would say this. I had, during election time, I'm gonna bring this up because I saw it on Facebook because, he thought I was actually telling him something that was not true. And I'm gonna say it again in plain English. We received 2 disclaimer opinions in our audit. If you receive a third one, the state comes down and does the job that we failed to do.
which means they don't care then what any of you think. They don't care what we think. They take over. It's called a fiscal review committee that comes over and takes over. So I did not lie to anyone. That's what they came and told us. So we were mandated to do that at the time. So y'all looked at us and said, wow, you're doing this to us. No, they came down and said, this is what you've got to do. You're running 2 utilities here. But you can't keep putting out more than what you're taking in. Who does that? Do you do that at home? Nobody does that.
Let me echo that. That's what happened.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
That's
ma'am.
what happened in Glenmore. The council continued to refuse to go up on rates. And finally, the bank came in and went to the legislative auditor and said, they're refusing to raise rates. 6 years in a row. Because it was not politically palpable to do it. Well, the legislative auditor took over Glenmore, went up $40 a month on everybody's rate. And there's nothing the council can do.
Question,
Everybody was telling them to go up on rates. And they wouldn't.
can I ask a question?
Yeah.
At this meeting right here, can y'all raise rates?
No.
Can y'all propose a rate increase at this meeting?
No, that's not on our agenda.
That's not on the agenda.
It's not on
Well,
the
I'm just
agenda,
looking
sir.
at this sector.
This is actually to go down on the increase. That's gonna happen on that.
Okay, you're just gonna change to the other,
A lower index of the
the
bill.
lower end. It'll still be an increase.
But it's
Yeah,
an
it just won't be
automatic
as much as-
increase, it's gonna be a lot higher if we don't take action.
Are you saying that the average CPI, whatever you call that, should be around 3%, and that would be good enough?
The 10-year historical average.
Pardon me?
The 10-year historical average, what we use in our rate studies, is 2.75.
So 3 would be one.
Yeah, so
So
3 to keep your head above water, 4 is where you probably need
it
to be.
just seems so simple, just we need to implement that, but if the other is gonna be under or at that, kind of take the money and run, huh? And you're gonna do it anyway.
But when you see the other,
No, but it's a one-time deal. Once they finally get it at that threshold, then it's gonna average about 3%. Maybe not the first time.
yeah, the federal.
Maybe not the first time.
The government's numbers will probably, I mean, if you look at historically, you haven't seen the inflation rates that we've seen in the last few years since the Carter administration. So, even in the 80s, it rocked on 2 and 3%. And then in the 90s, early 2000s, before the 2008 bubble, you had some deflation going on. So the rates wouldn't have went up at all if this was in place. You know, right now we have the numbers that we have. You know, and that's what we have.
Stephen, did you know right offhand what the CPI has been for the previous year?
For the first year we were eligible in 22, I've got a 5.9% increase. For 23, 8.7. For this year, 3.2.
Okay, and with that being said, if we went up the CPI every year, that would be the numbers that we would have 3.5.
That's what we would have done the last 3 years.
But in our ordinance in 2020, when we were all talking about this, I made the motion, everyone agreed, we put a cap at 4%. So even with the CPI being as high as it was in this administration, then we wouldn't have gone before over a 4% increase. So I think that's what we put a cap at. But we would have, had could have been up to some years less, only 3%. Right, so yes, so we're there. They really shouldn't give that.
That's why it's 2024, now it's 2027.
And just to keep in mind, when you talk about those percentages, 10% is $71, $7.
Right.
And, I mean, that's the monthly increase that you're looking at.
As long as,
4% cap. I appreciate that y'all trying to take care of it. But should the rural water service, when you study,
We may not.
is that, are the people in New York, are they gonna give a darn or flip about that 4% cap? If you're-
Whatever
if
your
you're
ordinance
$13
says.
behind the 8 ball
Oh,
right
no,
now,
no.
they're not gonna care about the 4% cap. That's why,
So the rate study is looking at your actual revenues and expenses for your utilities. They're unique for each one that is done for a utility in Louisiana.
I'm gonna tell you what's unpopular man in this town, I'm gonna tell y'all the truth. In order to keep everyone happy above us, that has something to do with this, it's got handcuffs to put on you. If you don't do this year at least a $7 to $9 increase, and the next year make up the balance plus the CPI index, you're right back where you can see the, legislative auditor getting their car and driving back roofs up here. Now, I'm sorry, that's just a cold hard fact. But my toilet flush is a necessity, it's not a luxury. I don't need that iPhone 15, that's a luxury. But I got to have my toilet flush, my bathtub drain, my dishwasher drain, my sink drain. It's got to work, people. I'm sorry, we gotta bite the bullet here. And for us not to sit here and bring this up, we're doing the exact same thing that we're saying in the previous administration.
Absolutely, and that was
There
one of
it
my
is.
points. I have complained over and over because this mess was dropped in our lap. A falling apart sewer system,
Right.
not enough money to fix it, and we're having to ask y'all to do it. And that makes me mad, but that is exactly one of the things on my list. But we're sitting up here about to do the same thing to whoever follows us, and that's not fair. We have to make tough decisions and do what we have to do to fix it. And let there be no mistake. We can call in some of those guys sitting back there in that room. Our sewer system is failing. Say what you want. They work on it every day. They know. Our engineer looks at it every day. They know. The sewer system is old and failing. Like it's 50 years old. I'm telling you.
I think everybody just wants it to get fixed and let's do it.
Because if we fix the system,
Let's
you
move
gotta
on.
think our expenditures are gonna go down dramatically. I mean, when we were having a meeting in the senior center the other night, during that meeting, the engineers went out to two little problems we had over there on Paradise Road, $40,000. That quick. Two little sinkholes, $40,000, and it's every day something going
And
on.
they're, the two sinkholes, correct me if I'm wrong, Mayor, they were caused by one of the lift stations on Monroe Highway. Well, I can tell you, I go to work somewhere between 7:15, 7:30 in the morning, and multiple mornings, I have seen our guys at that lift station at 7:15, 7:30 in the morning, working on those lift stations. And I always think, well, how long have they been there? Like,
I've just been told, that apparently we mustn't have received the actual cost of Paradise, for the two sinkholes, for $40,000, which was over
I think everybody wants to get it fixed and let's just go on. We know life's not fair. You can't tell me that anybody in this room knows life is not fair. So suck it up, buttercups, let's get it going on.
in
Get it
defense
fixed.
of our engineer
Get it fixed.
and our CPA, I will say, the first year we said, oh, no, we're not gonna do that annual increase, we can't do that because of this, all, both of them were like, okay. But each year after that we waived it, both of these men have stood and told us, you've gotta stop, you've got
Yeah.
to stop doing this.
I agree with them. Y'all really have to stop that.
Stop it.
I have a question. When y'all collect the funds when we pay our sewer, that goes to a fund balance account, correct? To pay
That goes to the sewer checking account.
sewer checking account, okay? And it's all the expenses for the sewer come out of that checking account.
Well,
Now, just answer the question, yes or no, please.
Okay. Well, yes, but if we have one check, like if you're gonna pay one vendor, a vendor doesn't wanna receive 19 different checks. Sometimes we play with one check,
Wait,
but
you know what I mean by expenses?
yeah, that's what I'm saying, yeah, within reason.
Okay, yeah, you do. Okay, is funds ever transferred out of that account to an operating account of another fund balance?
Our funds ever transferred out? Well, we have, you know, a savings account. We have a rainy day fund that we set money aside for, but no, since we've passed this, the money, you know, outside of savings transfers and we have payroll, all comes out of the general fund is and then reimbursed. Then outside of that, we haven't had any transfers from the sewer or sanitation that I'm aware of.
So,
What is the dollar amount that has been taken out of that fund?
That has, well, I mean, that,
I mean, we got a right to know.
I'm not,
Well, here, he gave us this last time.
yeah.
And you have to, I mean, I'm not a, Stephen can answer this, but in a town, you have, the town is a pot. But, okay, but I'm gonna tell you, according to this page, you could say, or you could allude to, or whatever, so the service fees for the sanitation, I mean, for the sewer, 22-23, $927,424. That's the revenue. The expenditures, operating expense, $1,114,247. So I'm pretty sure that all of the money from sewer and sanitation is going to sewer and sanitation, plus that the remainder is coming from general fund or taxes or wherever else it comes from.
so, but do you have a chart of accounts of what those expenditures are? Do you get them monthly and look at them? No, you're just seeing, you're not
I don't
seeing,
look at the checking account, I'm not on.
no, I'm talking about you do.
I do.
You're the only one, right?
And Mark's on the finance.
She's on the finance.
He
Oh,
gets
Mark's
the
on
same
the finance committee?
Yes. He gets the same reports that I get.
Okay, and who
every
else is
single
on the finance committee, perhaps?
Our lady from Knight Maston and, Angie.
Let me say something, I'm not on the finance committee, I was, and I don't get the reports that they get, because I don't have access to the Dropbox thing, and they know that. But since we're on this subject, if I hear everything, if I hear the CPA correct, and I hear all of us correct, that no money is being used out of the utility fund, then why don't the council increase the restrictions from 50% on up?
But they're already
If
getting,
nothing's
They're already
being-
getting 100%.
Well, then let's restrict it up to 100%. If it's not being spent, then let's take all restrictions from 50 to 100.
It's a deficit.
I'm just-
We restricted 50% of the fund.
what difference does it make, Mark? We're spending more
It
than
makes,
what
it
we're.
makes a difference so that in the future,
Yep.
that never becomes a problem. So if we're all gonna sit here tonight and say that 50% of those funds that were restricted were there, plus the rest of them were there, then nobody in this room should have a problem with increasing it to 100% restriction. That's the point.
One time, I'm sorry, to interrupt you, Paul. The one thing I want to caution you against, when you have a restriction, you inherently make it more difficult for management to do their job. Anytime you have a restriction, it's harder. There are needs across the entire town, okay? Without, you know, and it's hard for everybody that's a citizen, it's hard for everybody that's on the council to dictate what do we need most right now, okay? So if we go to a part where we do this, and all that is restricted, you don't know what's going to happen to the next administration. You're going to hamstring them when there's a day that they have a $200,000 repair that needs to happen because of, you know, a hurricane came by and we've got to front the money for FEMA. You're going to have a problem when that happens and you're not going to have the flexibility to address it. So I would strongly caution you against that. Although I understand what you're saying in theory, you are going to hamstring further administrations from responding to emergencies, and you're not going to have time to come have a council meeting whenever a hurricane comes and you need. Winfield's a great example. To clean up from there, they're the same size as Ball. It took $1.4 million. You don't have $1.4 million in front, and you don't have it to find, and you can't get a bank to lend it to you real quick. That's not an option. You're going to put yourself in the same position if you're not careful with that today.
And I respect you, as you know, I love you, but I respectfully disagree with that, okay? There's no contractor that's gonna show up in the town and do something and go knock on this gal's door and say, give me my check right here today. We do have time for a council meeting.
Yes.
I understand that you have a job to do, and the engineer and everyone else. I'm responsible to the citizens. They wanna know why they just 3 years ago had a 78, I think, % increase, and then turning around now having to go up again, and then hearing from my friend over there that it might even actually go higher than that. I'm responsible to respond to these people when they ask what's going on. And all of us are. And so my point is, if the money is not being spent and there's no problem, then go up. Or let's call it 15%. Let's go up to 65% so that if the rate stuff is passed and we adopt all of this stuff, then the 15% will be there.
And look, again, I do want to take the temperature down. I do believe that everybody in here wants what's best for the town of Ball. I know that I don't live here personally, but I love the town of Ball. One of my sons work here, okay? But I'll say this, the time to buy an umbrella is not when it's raining, okay? You need to be prepared now for what's going to happen in the future and have flexibility to respond now so you save yourself. And that's just my opinion, but you know, that y'all are in a tough position, guys. I just try to advise y'all the best I can. Whatever y'all do, you know, I know y'all want to do what's best, but I got to say what's on my mind.
Stephen, 2 questions.
I understand what Susan said, Suzanne said. Utility is taking in less than they're spending already.
Excuse me, guys.
Stephen, 2 questions. Number 1, 100% of the money that we ask of the people went into utility. Yes or no?
100, yeah, I mean, it all went into the sewer fund.
Okay, you heard that answer. Did everybody hear that? 100% of the utility payments that you make, the $71.50 that you pay, went into the utilities. Okay, number 2, Stephen. Were there any transfers other than to the rainy day, which we put into, and the it's contingency fund, correct? Which Susan was talking about. Was there any money transferred to other accounts?
Except for the mechanics of how we pay payroll, which we pay it out of one fund and reimburse. Besides those mechanics, there's nothing I'm aware of.
Okay, you heard that. Other than the mechanics, and it's reimbursed back into utilities. Did everybody understand that? Okay. I want everybody to understand. So when you hear, how did we get into the hole? It's very simple, folks. Things broke down this year. The president we had, I'm going to say that whether I'm not popular right now, the president we had the last 3 years, our inflation numbers rocketed. Did anybody not go to the grocery store the last 3 years? Did anybody not go and pump gas in their cars in the last 3 years? I mean, in case you didn't notice, I mean, things went up. So guess what? Things went up for the town of Ball. Town of Ball is a business, okay? The price was passed on to us. So when things on the sewer department, I'm going to use that department right now as an example because that's what we're discussing. When we had to fix something, instead of it costing $20,000, it now costs us $40,000. Well, it's not fair for us to absorb the cost. I can't write a check that's going to bounce from here to kingdom come. I mean, that's just the way it works. And I mean, I know I'm sounding abrasive right now, but I don't think it's clicking for people. Okay? I mean, I know that when you went to the store, when you normally wrote $100 for your groceries, you were probably writing about $250 the last 3 years. It's just what it is. It's the reality of it. There's nothing hidden here. Nothing.
And Jim, along those lines, we did a rate study, guys, 3 years ago. Nothing is here. We're not talking about a rate. We're not talking about a rate increase. We're talking about something we put in place 3 years ago, we went against that man, and Mr. Ken from the Louisiana, rural water. They told us we're making a big mistake, all of us. We did it for you. We'll take the chance. But we did it. We knew it was gonna be hard. First year we did it, okay. Second year, we were told again, please y'all don't do it again. Those decisions we had, meeting after meeting after meeting, in that building, in this building, those decisions were made unanimously, which means every single alderman voted yes. Unanimously, that's what it means. We worked hard, all of us. Not just me, not just Kim, not all of us together with the help of our auditor, the people we hired, Pan-American engineers, rural water, they came to help us. We got a letter, I have the letter that says, I thought it said 90 days that we had to pull this off or the comment. Okay, we did what we did. We fixed it. We increased the rate. We put a plan in where every year, we're never going to have to face this again. Every one of us said that. We said, okay, let's do this. We won't have to ever deal with this again. We made that decision. The studies were done. We did it. We're not here tonight to do this because it's not on the table. It's not a part of this. This is one thing to try to give you a lesser rate this year on February the 1st. The change from the higher price to the CPI lower price. A decrease. That's all. It's not a vote. The vote is one word. Do we accept the CPI? That's what we're here to, that's it. There's nothing else.
Mayor, I put this dog to sleep once for all about this money going somewhere else. It's not hard. My favorite phrase, I'm an engineer, by the way, I'm not an accountant. And I'm not a banker. I'm what Mr. W is, and you'll understand fully. It's called do the math. All you gotta do is 1,600 paying accounts, right? Times 7,150, right? Times 12, right? Guess what that comes up to? $1.3 million a year. But y'all put $1.5 million in there, that got to be your tax receipts, your late fee payments, and evidently you're kicking some more money in from somewhere else. To do that, not 1 cent of what's been collected since these rates for increase has gone anywhere except in the sewer or the trash department. Not 1 cent. The numbers bear it out. The math states it. It's clear. I mean, I hear that all the time. Well, they spend that money on fireworks. They spend that money. No, they did not.
I'm on, and like I told you, Ms. Bobby, I'm on the finance committee, and I can tell you, I diligently look at those statements, I look at receipts, I look at everything. And I have never seen one dime go from any utility account to pay anything other than what it was meant.
I didn't say pay, didn't say pay, I said transferred out.
It's never been transferred. for
Oh,
anything
since Gail's
other
taken
than-
office, not this term, but the first term. This is what way I feel, and a lot of citizens who don't even come that I've been telling this about. Ms. Gail, when you took this office the first term, the sewer was acting up then. And that should have been yours. And I know y'all inherited. I'm sorry, you ran for office.
Yeah.
You got it. It's
Exactly.
yours.
True.
We're here to back you. I don't work for y'all. Y'all work for us. And I'm here to help. And I've been up here helping everybody as much as I can in this town. But this has been a problem since day one. So people who are like me, that I got common sense, and other people who probably don't have so much of a big education like some of people are in here. This is their thought. This is what they're thinking. Why did we go buy all these barrels? Why did we take funds from here on another account that could have been transferred over to our sewer department to be able to take care of our sewer. Why, like fireworks, Mr. just talked about, that's being talked about. Mardi Gras been talked about. Now they're talking about, why are we having a moon pie festival? Now I understand the sponsor's gonna be putting out money. Us holding this meeting here tonight is costing us money. So these are the things that people who have lived here for a very long time, that is their concerns. They see it on Facebook. Some of them cannot come up here. And I have lived here 60 years. 60 years. I remember when sewer was put in. I've seen my daddy twice dig out septic tank. And for y'all to even come out to even put a fear in the town to say, that's a fear. And I don't like that. That if we don't pass, if we don't take this grant, then we're going to be putting septic tanks in the back. No, I can promise you, Miss Gail, most of the people up here are not going to, that live in Ball, high officials are not going to be digging and putting septic tanks in their back of their yard. We're going to be looking for other ways. And that's something else that I've been thinking in my mind. And I'm not a smart person. I just try to think and I pray and I ask the Lord to help me. Why are any other options but being brought out of other than this grant money? We're having this discussion because all the council members said they didn't know anything that was the ties that was to it. That's why we're having this. That's why the reason y'all had that meeting this last Wednesday night. And y'all got other things on the agenda. And that's why we're here talking about this. That's why everybody keeps breaking it up.
The ties for the grant?
The grant money.
The grant money?
Yeah. That's why the ladies here talking about it. About us going up on the fees. All this is going to be what it's coming to. Are we fixing to talk about this on the agenda tonight? About the grant?
No.
Yeah. Well, what I'm talking about the rates, the percentage. Sir, I know. Excuse me. I know. I saw your face.
It is a
I saw.
decrease.
But
It's a decrease
I don't think
in
it's
what you're gonna be paying. It's a if we don't do this tonight, automatically tomorrow, Stephen, your rates are gonna skyrocket based on that other index. If we use the CPI, your rate's barely gonna go up. And that's it. This is a decrease. That's what they're doing tonight.
That's fine. I just know that I think there's other things that aren't being talked about.
I understand what you're saying.
You know exactly what I'm talking about.
This is a decrease.
I understand.
But
No problem.
But I do appreciate you coming tonight to ask us your questions. Because there's been so much on Facebook that is not actually correct. So I'm glad you're asking the question. And you brought up a good point. I'm gonna tell you how I see it, and please somebody correct me that's more educated, whatever. Our sewer system is broken. Do we all agree with that?
Yes.
It is absolutely falling apart.
Yeah.
Okay, the sewer system is falling apart. We've got to fix it. There's no way around that.
Right.
So in my mind, there's two choices. We need, got a paper here. We need, for our sewer system, not water, drainage and all this stuff, we need, $5,900,000. Okay. We can either take the grant money, put what we have with it, fix the sewer system, and show them that we are gonna be fiscally responsible and keep our rates where they need to be. Or we can, and which means we're gonna go up on your rates because we have to be responsible. Or we can say, we don't want your grant money because we're smarter than that. We're gonna go borrow some money and we're gonna pay 6% interest. And then we're still gonna have to go up on your rates because the bank is gonna require us to prove that we're going to be fiscal in our budget. To me, it's a no-brainer.
Or we
Take
can let
the
the
$4
state take
million
that.
grant money, put that with what we have, fix the sewer system. We're not putting out as much as we would be every month, because hopefully things will be fixed. And then we move on.
Or
Let's
you
move
have
on.
another option.
Another-
You cannot take any money, you cannot take any money from anywhere. Watch it continue to deteriorate. And anybody in here that thinks the parish is gonna allow you to put a
Oh, they won't.
treatment plant on septic tank.
That was just,
that- that
I don't know if you
DEQ
said
says,
that.
No, you have sewer, fix it.
right, but I will say this, you said, don't fix it, let it go apart. I'm gonna tell y'all right now, I know some of these guys that work on the sewer system, and shame on you if you don't want us to move forward with this, and we send one of our workers 25 feet down in the ground in a hole that's got wires and waters that the thing could blow off any minute, and we're sitting up here yapping and backstabbing and Facebooking and not making a decision, and something happens to one of our workers, shame on all of us. It's time to make a move and do what we have to do. You know, when something breaks at your house, we whine about it, we complain about it, and then you fix it because you want to live there. So you fix it and you move on, and you do the adjustments in your budget that you have to do to fix your problem that happens at your house.
And if you can't afford it, you bite the bullet and you borrow the money and you get it fixed.
Yes,
Because
but
that's the way
but
it
if
works.
somebody has another solution, I am open to another solution.
Question. Has this resolution been officially made?
Yes.
Okay, we're doing discussion, right? I'm ready for y'all to vote. I've heard enough, I'm in favor of voting.
Let me say this. Apparently a problem with me going and applying for a loan.
Who, me?
Yeah.
No, I don't. I just think other options should be on the table. I mean,
Other options, free money.
okay, not free money. It has to, the only time, when I watched it, because sometimes I can't come up here because I have to take care of my mother. And now I'm taking care of my father-in-law and my mother-in-law. So I have to watch this on Facebook, but I'm finally able to see it. But when I see the council members saying their stipulations on a grant and they don't know, nobody knew about this. And you've got your engineer and you got your CP. Oh, yes, you knew about it. No, that's a big red flag for me.
Okay, this is how we got that letter, all right? We gotta do something. So we came up, we fixed it. We got the increase, we put into place automatic yearly payments. That one thing right there opened up the opportunity for the town of Ball for the first time ever to be able to apply for a water sector grant. Because we could now pay for it.
Okay.
So, Mr. Tom, when they did this, he said, hey, there's some water sector money. Okay. This lady right there, she lives in Curtis Park. She has fought by my side through 3 capital outlays that I got rejected. 3 times at the state capitol, and I got rejected. 1 time, we got it. The governor vetoed me. He took it away from us. Okay. Water sector comes open. Tom says, it's a long shot. I don't think you'll get it. He told me that. He told me that the very day I went to the Capitol and fought for it. He said, okay, now we qualify. We can qualify. We can actually file an application. Before we had this in place, we could not, right, Mr. Tom? We didn't qualify.
You needed the local maps to buy the points.
I heard all of it. Like I said, I watched it. I still say the state's gonna come in here and they're gonna
You
go
wanted me to, we borrowed $1.2 million to start working on lift station 11. You would rather us, the other option be borrow $7,000 or $8,000.
I did not say that, but I know other options
What
have not
tell
come up.
me, what
I don't know. I'm not an official. I do
But
not
you
do
said-
all of that. I'm wanting to hear other things, or maybe
You
a
said
resident.
you knew other options. Share them with us.
Okay, my options is, okay, tonight we're gonna be talking about a tax. Okay, a mill of a tax, or even let other citizens in this town know what's going on, to say, hey, this is what's gonna happen to y'all. Give them the short version and the easy version so that they'll understand it. And say, you know what, we are gonna have to do it this way, or maybe if we voted on a tax to come in, or just a small little one. Like I said, these are things that are going through my head, other than of a bill or something. I don't know. But if you say there's no other options out there, then fine. Then I'm okay. But like I said, I'm a citizen here. I mean, I'm a resident here. I've got 3 properties here, and I have a right to speak. I mostly watch. I know, but I'm hearing people behind me, and I don't think it's like Wednesday night's meeting that was so rudely. Especially, I couldn't even see Ursula, but I could hear her. And I heard one gentleman speaking over her rudely. I heard somebody talk to the people rudely that sits. That's a council member. I'm still cannot believe what has gone on. I cannot believe. And I have been here for 60 years and been seeing this. I guess I'm just still in shock.
Was going to make that statement before we started this meeting about.
Oh, an apology. Actually, before we started this meeting, I was going to announce that we were going to follow Larson Act tonight because I did not want to repeat of Wednesday night. There was a lot of overlapping with the talking, and Larson Act states that if you want to speak, you will approach the podium. You will state your name and your address for the record, and you have 3 minutes to speak. You choose what you want to talk about. If you want to ask a question, make a statement, but you will address the council. Nobody in the audience to make an answer to the question. So I apologize. We should have followed that. We kind of we started with Susan, and I forgot to do that. So I owe you an apology, Bobby. But we will follow that right now. So the next question, the person will approach the podium. You will state your name and address, and we will follow that right now.
Let me ask one question to our engineer and our CPA. Because while y'all did elect us to sit up here and make these decisions for you, if I have to make a tough decision like this, I'm gonna depend on these guys right here because they're employed by the town of Ball. They are educated men. They know what they're doing in their job. They do this all day, every day. Is there another option?
The options were to do it like our forefathers did, our parents did in the 40s and 50s. After the war, they said we're going to build a city. How are we going to do it? In the 20s, City of Alexandria. What you did, the community sat together and they said, we need a street. So we call a vote, we pass a millage. We ask the people to vote for a tax. And when that tax comes in, we issue a bond, which is basically a loan. So that's how they did it in the old school. In the 70s, they started coming out with grants. And the grants had said, and I called it the cocaine of municipalities. Because once somebody got a grant, they never thought about doing it themselves again. And grants were the only thing. We're not going to do it. Can we get a grant? Can we get it? Every mayor was happy they got a grant. So you either borrow the money, or now because we print money and we give grants, we get a grant. And a grant means you don't have to pay it back. The loan or the bond means you have to pay it back. Okay, with an interest rate of something. There's no 0% loan. So you have a loan or a bond, all the same, or you have a grant, or you go to the house. This is 3 choices. It's no magic. It's the same as things that go on in your house every day. Borrow the money, parents give you some money, or you don't do it. That's the choices.
Thank you, Susan.
Because honestly, like you, I have several properties, and I'm paying this too. I'm not imposing on someone something that I'm not willing to do my part too. And then you've got those that say, shame on y'all, we have senior citizens. I got one too, sitting right over there, that lives right next door to me, that I keep an eye on. And so, I'm a senior citizen. I'm proudly 63 years old, and I've been here my whole entire life. And I remember, like you, Bobby, free sewer, when it rained, you got that long stick or that long wire, and you went out there and you ringed in your sewer to make it run. I don't want to go back to that. I've been there. It wasn't that fun. So I would love to have another option. The option I would like is that we can do all this and we have a lot of free money. But we're going to have to kick in and do our part. It's just that simple. But thank you for showing up and asking your questions.
Thank you.
And if anybody else has a question in here, please don't leave it unanswered.
My name is Paul Frank, by the way. My question is, do any of you aldermen, do y'all have any options? I mean, I keep hearing that so and so and so. Well, just tell us right now, do you have any options? What are your options? Like I said, my toilet brushing is a necessity. That's not a luxury. That iPhone 15, I don't need that thing. That's a luxury. That's not a necessity. That little drawing phone I've got will do that 15. But if we have any options, if any of y'all have, please put them out here now. Let's don't go home tonight and talk about the, I had on about the whole thing. Please put these options out now if you got one. Thank you.
I've already said my part. I think we need to take the grant money. If I'm understanding this correctly, when the grant money came before the council, we voted to give the mayor the authority to negotiate and enter into this grant. So we've already done it. Now, are we surprised that maybe there was a clause in there that said you have to be running, show a profit? But like it was pointed out to me, and how stupid would we all be? We can't run a town without a profit. So shame on us, any of us, if we thought just because that clause in there, that's what tied our hands. We should be running this town with not in the rears, in the red, in the deficit. So was it a surprise the way it was put to us that night? Because we got our audit the same night.
It was a shock. Quit lying.
Yeah, it was a shock. It came because we got our audit that same night that this came on the agenda. And honestly, that was the first time that I got this number where we had revenue and expenditures in that little quotation, and we're like, oh my gosh. So yeah, we were surprised, and then we were surprised to know what we were going to have to do to keep the grant. This is just me. Take the $4 million grant money, get the sewer fixed, and let's do what we have to do to have a good town and run it in a good way.
Amen.
State your name, sir.
I'm Terry Baker, or what's left of it. I am so shocked that y'all couldn't foresee the future and know that everything was gonna go up and that the sewer was gonna continue to fail. And we weren't gonna have money.
You can sit down now.
He's got
Since this has all come up, I may be way wrong with this, and these folks can tell us, but if we make these improvements and we get everything up to standard, then the next time we do a rate study, we're not looking at, on our list of things, 40-year-old lift stations that are going to shortly have to be replaced. We have some new lift stations, and the sewer plant's up in better shape. So all of this just contributes to us having a better rate study when you have, because the state's going to require it again every 3 years, 5 years, or whatever, in order for us to have a sewer plant and for us to have a sewer system. So the more improvements we make, the cheaper it's going to be for us.
It makes complete sense.
Well, yeah,
It was just a shock that we had delivered twins on Monday night, and now we just had time to absorb it, so.
I think when Mr. David spoke before, when we had the meeting and everybody showed up out here, he was talking about $90-something. Everybody free. Me included. $90-something, man, that's a big jump.
Absolutely.
Right now, just like you said about the grocery store, $9, damn cheap.
It does.
You can't go fill up your truck if it's $70. So, an extra few dollars a month, maybe it's more these next few months, but then the next year it becomes cheaper. I don't see how we can go wrong with that. And even though it's grant money and we're saying it's free money, it's our tax dollars.
Absolutely.
And
That's
we know
exactly
it's
what we
big
put in that cost.
here. You know, as look, Simsport just got taken over, I think. The state came in and said, y'all not running their money, we're taking over everything. They can't write a check, they can't vote on writing a check. So, I sell a little bit of stuff too. I'm glad I didn't let them run their account.
Herbert Bruce, other 315 Meredith Drive. What I hear you guys up here doing is kind of justifying the increase. And I've engaged in the room and I've read tons of stuff on Facebook, and I'm pretty sure that 90% of the people are good with an increase. So I don't know why we keep belaboring the point of why we're doing the increase. We know we're gonna do the increase. Most people I've heard in this room support any increase. I think the problem comes right now that nobody knows what that increase is gonna be, and that's the real question. Ms. Robbins, is that correct? She stood up here and said she thinks a 5 or 6% increase right now would be good. Mark talked to her about that, and it was understandable, but then I heard Mr. Baker say it needs to be $9 or $10. I've heard people say $9 or $10. The other study could be much more than that. Like, my only question, like, I'm good with an increase, and I think most people are. I think the argument is not about whether we should or should not do this, but like, what is the increase gonna be? When are y'all gonna decide that?
Right now, it's gonna be 3%. If they pass this tonight.
3%.
That's a
good
start. Because that's the
Yeah.
CPI.
3% is.
$2.28.
Right, it's about.
Yes.
I'm all right with that. But what's on the, I can't gain for
We brought in an expert, Ms. Robbins, that said that's really not enough.
Yes.
And I understand, look, it's done great for the citizens of all over the last 3 years and control their expenses. But if we're not doing enough, is it really worth doing? 5% is only $3.50. Like, is 5% a better number than 3 tonight? Because we're gonna wait till the state does a audit, and then we're gonna find that it needs to be
If
12.
that's the council's pleasure, you know, to recoup some of those years that they did not increase before.
That would be
And
keeping
that's
the
totally
index that
right.
we have
Yeah.
now.
And I would
Whatever.
have to go through the ordinance and all that process to be able to do that.
We just keep the index we have
Just
now.
keep it, keep it like it is.
You keep right, Stephen?
What?
The North American Water Index.
Yeah, I mean, that is an option that's on the table, and if we do nothing, that is what is gonna happen, okay? So really, it's up to y'all's pleasure on what y'all wanna do. And again, the CPI index was trying to make this more clear for everybody, and, you know, have both of our systems go up by the same index and try to simplify things. And again, to keep it in lockstep with what everybody else was experiencing with their own you know, cost of living increases and stuff, so that, you know, utility system costs are always the same percentage of their salary. But I'll defer to what y'all want to do. Both options are on the table. We can't unilaterally go up 12%. I mean, all of those options are off. And my thought is that if we're all talking about that, the thing to do is to do the index and then wait until the study's done, and let's respond one time and make sure it's a measured and appropriate response. But tonight, our only decision is, do we go up right now, how the index we've chosen already, and to do that, we would just table the motion. Or do we go with the CPI index and y'all motion and second to go with that?
Well, actually, you just vote no, and
Yeah.
you go up to higher.
Yeah, I mean, so those are your options.
So what would so if we did CPI, you're saying $2.80 something?
$2.28. The other index hasn't been released, so we don't know.
And that's the problem.
That's the
why we
problem we're
wanna get
having,
on
because
the
they may not
CPI.
release it till April.
But it will be higher.
But it will, 90% of the time it's higher.
And you can't retro all that either.
Yeah, so I mean, simple seems better in this. I've always, my dad always told me to keep it simple, and then he added adjectives, so.
Let's go ahead and do the CPI.
Yes, because if we do the CPI tonight, then every year following this, the rate increase will be like the increase for the whole, for everything.
Exactly, so it's just your lockstep with everything. It's the same increase Social Security's getting. Nobody is making the argument, well, my Social Security went up 0.9%, but your rates went up 4%. It'll all be the same, so we can make it simpler for everybody and go.
Let me add to that, by going to the CPI in the 1980s, we had a period of deflation for about 3 years. So that would actually mean your rate would decrease. Yeah, so
Well,
it
at that
can't
point-
go down if we have deflation, which they're talking about is a real.
That's what I'm asking, at that point, there's no way at that point. At that point, the council could not amend that particular ordinance and set a percentage that they would want.
Yeah, my suggestion would be if that becomes a real threat, maybe we evaluate it then. And we're always, 30 days away from being able to make a change with introducing an ordinance and then adopting the introduction. So my suggestion on the deflation issue, it seems unlikely with what I pay, again, what everybody pays at the grocery store. It feels unlikely right now, but we have the flexibility to respond to that later.
Okay.
Okay, I'm not fear mongering here. This is just plain black ink or white paper math. Do the math. In fiscal year 19 and 20, when the legislative authors figuratively in their car on their way up here, put handcuffs on all of y'all and take it down over. Your sewer and trash was $454,663 in red. This past year, fiscal year 22-23, you're $305,978 in the red. That's only $150,000 less than you were when I was coming up here. If you don't get this increase enough to get us out of this hot water here, they're gonna come anyway. Hey, it's not fear mongering, it's just plain simple truth. If we don't see at least a $7 to $9 raise, we're in trouble anyway. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna talk about that, but that's the fact. That's just the way it is. Thank you again.
Thank you, Paul.
$79 is better than a 90.
Jeffrey Bordeaux from 306 American Drive. I had a couple people ask me, it might be a crazy question, but is there a program for these older people that have on fixed incomes? They asked me, and I didn't know.
Steve can answer that. Could I ask you about that before?
Well, as far as there's a program, there are some parish-wide programs that help people with low income. I mean, that's kind of outside the scope of what the town does, but there are some nonprofits that do that. I'm familiar with their work, working in the county, Changeville, and they do have some options. It's not based off of elderly, it's based off of low income though, so that is something that does exist. I would suggest starting with the Rapides Area Agency on Aging. They probably have those resources available, and they're a nonprofit that can help you, get in touch with that.
Thank
Does anyone else have any public comment?
I do.
Well, no, we're not ready for, we're gonna get that, this is just the public comment, we're coming back to the agenda, if everybody would bring up. Okay, public comments are now closed, we're gonna go to agenda item number 6, approve a resolution ordering the calling a special election to be held in the town of Falls, state of Louisiana, to authorize the levy of a special tax therein, making application to the State Bond Commission and providing for other matters in connection therewith. Are there any public comments on this agenda item?
Do I need to walk up?
Yes, sir.
Let me stagger. Jack R, 4408 Monona Drive. What is this tax for? Doesn't have a statement.
Let me speak up on it.
Levy form?
Fire department. It's for the fire department, sir.
Okay, that's all I need to know.
This is information, if anybody wants to know why we're doing what we're doing. All this is for is to help me fund my department. It is a 5 mil millage. You're looking, I talked a while back, information on how much it's gonna cost y'all a year. I know y'all can get hit with this and everything. I hate it, but for so long, we have been put on the back burner due to competitive needs of this village. I have one engine, 28 years old, another engine, 14, another engine, 21, 32. They're old. I can't get parts. This village will help me update.
Excuse me. I meant to do this before we started, and, I don't mean
No,
this.
no problem.
Okay, no offense, but when he's saying he's saying the town of Ball, you people,
Fire department.
your fire department,
Sorry.
not
Not me,
Jude,
not me
not
position,
Jude.
sorry.
Yeah, Jude, you keep forgetting, it's not yours.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't want, I didn't mean it to come out that way, but
Well,
I'm not running a lot
sorry.
of sleep.
I meant to tell you that before, and she'll just down.
Okay, I apologize for that.
This is for
The
our
town
town,
of
it's
Ball,
for our
for the
people.
fire department, to serve y'all. Sorry, it's been a long couple of days for me. This will help fund the fire department for y'all, better serve y'all. To update much needed equipment. The trucks are old, you look at them, they got low mileage. Mileage doesn't mean anything. They're old, out of date, trying to find parts for them. Can't do it hardly anymore. We're in desperate need of updating this, updates for the department and everything else. This millage will help drastically the members of the department that will better serve the community to what y'all are doing. The town is growing. All fire departments need to continue to grow and compete with the growth of the town to better serve and continue to serve the way we have been. No questions asked, we're there 24 hours, 7 days a week. But this millage will drastically improve and help us better help and serve y'all. This is all this is for. This is something in April that I would really ask that y'all help support. Everybody asks how can I help support the fire department? This is it. This will help support the fire department, help support y'all.
Thank you.
So please help the fire department. Again, I apologize for that's just the way I talk. And it's been, it's basically this, I eat, live, and breathe this right here.
You're good.
You're on
That's all right, we'll make you dance later.
They want some down here. Okay. Anybody have any questions they need to ask you, or you didn't know that? All right. Absolutely. Okay, do we have a motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? There are no nays, roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Alderman Ward,
Yes.
Alderwoman Duncan Kirby, yes. Alderman Mercer,
Yes.
Alderwoman Christie,
Yes.
Alderwoman Williams Smith.
Yes. Motion carried. Item number 7. Introduce, accept for publication an ordinance amending ordinance 362, 2022 the Ball Code of Ordinances, section 90:49, number 4, to increase wastewater rates based on the index rate promulgated by the U.S. Department of Labor Consumer Price Index, urban CPIU. Does the council have any comments on this any further than the public comments that we have? Okay, then do we have a motion? Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Nays? Nays? Roll call vote, Madam Clerk?
Alderman Ward.
Yes.
Alderwoman Duncan Kirby.
Yes.
Alderman Mercer.
No.
Alderwoman Christie.
Yes.
Alderwoman Williams Smith. Yes.
Motion carried. Item number 8, approve the hiring of Chase Scubit as a full-time patrol officer at a pay rate of $1,269.23 per pay period. Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it, Mayor.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition say nay. Roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Alderman Ward.
Yes.
Alderwoman Duncan Kirby.
Yes.
Alderman Mercer.
Yes.
Alderwoman Christie.
Yes.
Alderwoman Williams Smith.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Tim? Just a young man?
Go ahead, juice.
You got to?
We're gonna ask you.
Go ahead, juice.
Can you go right here and use the
Can we see all of the
Tell us a little bit about
Yeah,
yourself.
I'm originally from California. I moved here, 5 years ago for my dad's job. I love to fish and hunt, normal Louisiana stuff. And it's just, I wanted to be a police officer my whole life.
Stay honest.
I like helping people. I like to help things.
Well, welcome aboard, Chase. We're glad to have you.
That's it. Welcome aboard, Hollywood.
Carol, are we allowed to call you Hollywood?
Officer Hollywood, that's right.
Okay.
This is California.
Right.
I got something I wanna say. Last week we had that little meeting back here in that community room there. I made a few statements there that was really inappropriate for what I should have said. And I apologize to every one of y'all for what I said. That's not normally what I would do. It just came out. Came out the wrong way, so I apologize.
Thank you.
Your man for doing
You're,
Thank you.
you're absolved. Forget it.
I know y'all are not gonna remember this because I won't either. On our website, it's all of our phone numbers. If ever you have a question, I'm gonna be honest with you, I do get on Facebook to see what my kids are doing, or to post pictures of my kids or something fun. I do not handle town business on Facebook. That's my personal site for me to play with or whatever it is I do. But my phone number is on the town website. I'll tell
What's your
you.
phone number?
623-1722. Please, if you have a question, I may not answer it immediately because I'm probably outside
Nuh-uh, Sam's home.
or Sam's home, but I will get back with y'all. But y'all, please, if you have questions, call and ask me for sure. I'm not gonna volunteer them. I'll give you the best answer. If I don't have it, I will find it. You might not like the answer, but I will give you an answer. But please, let's don't rely on what you've heard from you've heard from you've heard. You, and then I'm gonna go a step further. If you wanna know more than what I can tell you, call the town hall. She knows everything. And if she doesn't know, she's gonna contact the people that we employ to tell us what we don't know. So please, get your information from the source and ask questions. I'm more than willing to answer questions, and I think we all are. We're not trying to hide anything or put anything over on y'all. We are trying to do our very best. That's it.
I would back up what Suzanne said. I'm available morning, noon, and night. Even though I have a full-time job, I have taken phone calls at my job for the town. I've had citizens come and sit at my desk about town business. My door is always open to any of you at any time of the day or night. Call me. I will be happy to help you any way I can. And like Suzanne said, please don't rely on Facebook. Do I get on Facebook? Yeah, occasionally I do. Not as much as I used to. I have a 20-year-old and a 17-year-old who keep me running. I have a full-time job, and I'm just really too busy to be on Facebook 90% of the time. So it's kind of become a luxury to me if I get to be on there. So I miss a lot of stuff that's on Facebook simply because I don't have time. I get it sent to me maybe in a text or something, but please call me if you have anything, if you need anything at all. And I just want to make sure that everybody here, before you leave, understands that what we just did as far as the vote is kept the bill from going way up to the CPI. So that way you're not hitting this astronomical amount. Because that's not what we want for anybody.
Well, you heard them. Call them if you got any questions. And they're up all hours. No, you don't need to call me. You have to say like, no. You know you can call me. And you know me, I'm a stickler for rules. I do not do business on Facebook. So if it ain't about my grandkids or my roses in my yard, you can forget about Kim. I do want to thank y'all for coming tonight. So, because I believe in doing business here. So, this is where you're going to get answers to all of your questions. I know that's where I get my answers from, is here. So, thank y'all, and I mean that, for coming tonight.
I just want to end by saying, unfortunately, all this is kind of overshadowing it, but the most important thing here tonight is our fire department issue, because those guys are way overdue help. And so, it's a public issue, so the citizens will be able to vote for it. But I just want to say publicly on the record that I will be voting for it, because like I said in one of our budget meetings, and he's not here, but I told the chief of police, if I'm ever in a wreck laying on the side of the road, all due respect, I don't want to see you. I want to see the guys that know how to take care of me, or if it's my family member or any other citizen in the town. And all of us, credit in all of us, we've always voted things in favor of the fire department. But these guys need our help, and our fire chief said this, and he's 100% right. Our town is growing, and with that growth, they just naturally have to be able to grow as well to be able to take care of everything. Like a lot of these businesses that are coming in, they're gonna need certain equipment. I'm not a fire expert, but I would assume they're gonna need certain equipment and things and training. And so there's a lot of things that the department needs that the way we're operating right now, we don't have. So I just want to encourage everybody as we leave here tonight that when you're out in the town talking to people, let them know that this is coming up and encourage them to be in support of this, because our fire department needs it. And I want to thank all of our workers from the sanitation people to the sewer to the fire, police, all of these, and Abby and everyone else up here at Town Hall. Me and Abby, have been talking to each other a lot this week. The people up here work, really, really hard to get people the information that they need to be able to look at something. And sometimes we don't always agree on something, but one thing I will say for sure, the staff up here at the town hall are awesome people. And they work hard, and that goes across the whole round, so I'm just gonna leave you with that, but please try to encourage your neighbors and everyone you know to get behind the fire department thing, because they need it. Thank you.
Yes.
And I don't think, Abby wants to say anything except, please, motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Oh, wait, I didn't hear that. Who made the motions?
We want to thank all our viewers for tuning in tonight. We're live at Ball's special meeting in Ball, Louisiana. Thank y'all for tuning in. Please share this post. Y'all be safe and stay vigilant.